The child has to leave home when he grows up. Empty nest parents test their marriage, and you have a chance to be yourself again. The pain of your child's graduation also comes with it. It's really scary to be left with your significant other at home, Mike said. Feeling the loss of his son leaving home for college, he agreed to talk about the empty nest period. He is 57 years old and the father of 2 children, a 26-year-old daughter and an 18-year-old son. When asked if he wanted a cup of coffee, he asked as soon as he had the opportunity. "Middle age is nothing," he said, shaking the milk foam on his coffee. "The real test begins after the children leave home. Middle age is the gentle hills, and the empty nest period is Mount Everest." One day I said to my wife, "Hannah, how come people like us haven't divorced yet? Don't looking at me like this. Our personalities are actually quite compatible." She replied jokingly, "Maybe as long as we don't interfere with what the other person wants to do, there's no need for a divorce." A friend's mother said that when you reach 50, you are just avoiding 2 things: death and divorce. Many unlucky relatives and friends suffered from terminal illnesses, and divorce became commonplace. We are getting older in the eyes of our children, but the children are full-fledged and growing up in our eyes. When our parents fall ill and pass away, we know that this will happen to us sooner or later. However, while we think about the end of our lives, we also look forward to a time full of possibilities. As long as we are healthy, we can put our time, skills, experience, self-knowledge, and even wisdom into creative and satisfying uses. Therein lies the emotional complexity involved in letting go of your children into adulthood, which can be easier said than done. Parents of newborns will secretly hold on to the fantasy that when their children are older, they will not be so tired. Similarly, parents of empty nesters will also deceive themselves and think that letting their children leave home is the end of the battle. But in fact, for both children and parents, it is a constant battle. No one knows what will happen, and it is often chaotic. Perhaps the most apt symbol of this complicated feeling about leaving home is what to do with your children's rooms. Hannah and I were at loggerheads about what to do with her son's room. She wanted to clear it out and turn it into a guest room because it was just a clutter that needed to be sorted out. But to me, his room felt a bit like a castle. The temple, after all, is a comforting memory. I like to walk into the room and look at the piggy pile on the bookshelf, as well as the books he read in the 1st grade of elementary school. Loving parents are divided into those who keep their children's rooms, as they are indefinitely, and those who immediately repurpose the room. Those who are pragmatic will consider the reality of limited living space, but those who pay attention to emotions will feel that the room retains a precious drama about beginning and end, inclusion and exclusion, authority and equality. If parents unilaterally change their child's room for other uses without discussion, they may feel that a pattern of attachment resistance is at work, and that dependence and emotional needs are minimized. Parents sometimes appropriate their children's rooms as a way to break away from parenthood and enter a new phase of life. "I've had enough," Mom may have shouted, sighing that she could finally commandeer the room to start a new business. They may also have some bad memories of what their teens used their rooms for. They were hiding in their rooms playing video games. Is that the smell of marijuana? What other tricks were they doing in their rooms? I want to clear the room. In general, I believe that it will be psychologically beneficial for children to have some communication with their parents. This is also to respect the multiple meanings contained in this matter. Children feel strongly about changes in their rooms. For them, leaving home does not happen or be completed overnight. From time to time, they want to come back and walk into the showcase of childhood memories. Back home on vacation, they can revisit their childhood and teenage backstories. Perhaps both parents and children will feel a little irritated, but they will also feel comforted. For young people, this is also a way to recharge their batteries and return to the source of their sense of security before they can go out and explore again. "The kids are gone, but they still need us," Mike said. "I'm even surprised how many needs they continue to have. The focus of parenting has changed, but the child's need for attention has not. My daughter will come back regularly. We are also helping her pay her mobile phone bill when she needs to apply for personal health insurance. We also ask her to figure out how to support her step by step." Hannah and I don't always agree. They have different ideas about how much independence they need and what emotions they want from the parent-child relationship. Hannah laughed at me when I was sending my son off to college, as if I was sending him on a boat ride to the distant Siberian tundra, Mike said. My son and I would text each other every day to talk about little things, make jokes, and share what we had seen online. Something new. If one day he wanted to move back home after college, Hannah and I would definitely have a conflict. I would think it would be great if my son would come back, and she would think we should draw some boundaries, be more neat, let us have more privacy and freedom, and give our son more independence. I understand that she thinks that after her son is 22 or 23 years old, she should push the bird out of the nest. But I think this matter takes time. There's no rush. Saying goodbye to your children is bittersweet, haunted by the fear that they will fail to take off. Some people can't find direction, and some people can't find jobs. The family is a complex system. Whether a child can leave smoothly depends on the ability of the person who stays behind and lets go of the rope. This is a painful moment of truth for a marriage. A mother may realize at this point that she has stopped looking to her husband for emotional support and is instead relying on her son. A husband may fear that when the hubbub of raising children is over, the focus will return to the marriage. However, just when parents are beginning to adapt to the new normal and hope to be satisfied with their successful parenting, the children may put forward a series of new needs: financial support, psychological counseling, buying and renting a house even if the situation is not like this urgently. Young people also need substantial and emotional support. This nest needs to be empty situation can last for up to 10 years. If the feeling of family is not stable, it will be more difficult for young children to leave safely. However, the reason why there is a divorce shock accompanying the empty nest period is that some couples will wait until their children can become independent before letting the family break up. Silver divorce refers to the trend of divorce among couples over the age of 50. The number of divorces has increased significantly compared to the past. Waiting is reasonable. Parents always want to fully accompany their children's growth until the end of childhood. But it also makes the child's position awkward. The child was just about to leave home when he was pulled back into the tight family relationship by division and pain. Additionally, extramarital affairs complicate the situation. Parents, even without malicious intent, may become needy and dependent on their children. But the child's first priority is to develop a personality and develop a life of their own. Paradoxically, modern marriages focus on children and ignore the relationship between partners, which is most likely to lead to rapid dissatisfaction in marriages, promote divorce, and disrupt children's lives from late adolescence to early adulthood. Even people who want to stay in their marriages can relate to Mike's words and be frightened by the thought of being just themselves and their significant other at home. They may not know what the future will bring, but they may silently worry that there is nothing left in the marriage to save. One woman was worried that she and her husband were both workaholics, and once their children left home, they would almost lose contact. One man said that he still remembers the shock and trauma that he felt when his seemingly happy parent suddenly divorced shortly after he left home to go to college. Now that his daughter is approaching college age, he wants to know if there is any way to take preventive measures for marriage. A gentlewoman said that in the past 20 years, she has taken care of her children, housework, and social life, while her capable husband has been responsible for making money. After my youngest child left home, a large part of my responsibilities disappeared. This made me very uneasy. I feel embarrassed to say it, but would my husband regard me as a waste? Another man said of his son, how his autism caused his marriage to struggle, making it difficult for him to have expectations or hope for its future. One woman put it more bluntly, we don't know how to talk to each other anymore. A marriage psychologist once conducted a workshop on the theme of empty nest period. During the workshop, children leaving home and parents aging were discussed, and many questions were raised. These young participants were asking very much like people in their 20s. What am I doing? And what is my purpose? One man said after listening to the group discussion, we sounded so lost. Shame on you. One of the many surprising aspects of this stage of life is the humbling realization of how little we know. The biggest obstacle that people who want to change encounter is the mistaken belief that they should be able to figure things out by now. In fact, we are facing strange and new things, and the most appropriate direction may be to be directionless. After all, the price of thinking that we have figured it out is often a feeling of stagnation. Therefore, Admitting confusion is actually beneficial and can contribute to exploration and stay open to changes. As we age, it's worth paying attention to whether we allow our past mindset to limit us. What you have done so far in your life is only what you have done so far. As long as you are alive for a day, you can open your mind to do different things. Just like having a baby for the first time, we are all new parents. And when our children leave home, we are also new empty nest parents. 57-year-old Jim also participated in the workshop. He said that he had a problem with his wife, which became serious after the children left home. Sometimes I'm immersed in work and don't spend much time on my wife. He likes the feeling of being attentive, but his wife will say angrily, "I'm not even sure if you still want to be with me." The same problem happened before, but both of them understood that he was not good at it. Maintained intimacy. Emphasizing this had helped in the past, and having his wife constantly asking for reassurance had reminded Jim over the years of the importance of maintaining an emotional connection. The need for attachment never goes away, and as long as partners continue to comfort, touch, and face each other, their emotional communication can continue to function. The problem is, Jim used to feel guilty and derelict for being too immersed in his work, but now he's getting impatient, and he wants to know why. At this point in our lives, a good relationship gives us the opportunity to focus on our interests, goals, and experiences outside of the two of us, rather than blocking those opportunities. We need not only intimacy and attachment, but also other sources of satisfaction and meaning. Entering middle age, when creativity surges, we gain satisfaction, even joy, from transcending our personal interests and concerns. The question is not whether Jim pays enough attention to his wife, but whether his wife is disturbed by her husband's enthusiasm for other interests, or even by her own lack of interest. Until recent years, says one of the leading researchers on long-term marriages, the perception of aging was the same. The glow fades, relationships become dull and mediocre, passion disappears and is replaced by sympathy. It can all happen, but research shows that many people do not encounter such a thing, which is directly related to continued emotional growth. Older couples often learn to use techniques to reduce negative interactions with each other, recover more quickly, and improve their ability to comfort themselves and their significant other with positive emotions. If we evolve more internally as the years go by, then marital relationships won't be a thing with diminishing returns. The empty nest period is an opportunity to proactively pursue changes, instead of falling into a state of indifference. He also argued that everyone can accept the problem of getting along as a couple. As human lifespans increase dramatically, psychological research has repeatedly helped us shift the paradigm of later life. Throughout life, individuals and relationships continue to grow. There is no end to design life, because life is a fun and never-ending design project. You have to create every step forward for yourself. Following this metaphor, if we know our texture and have appropriate emotions, tools allow you to examine your marriage and think about how to broaden your horizons and improve your scenery. This may include sharing a little weight here and moving a few pivots there, but as long as we know where the weight is concentrated and which beams cannot be moved, we can be creative within the scope of feasibility and think of the most beautiful design. The productivity chaos of the empty nest period has made people realize that there is value in allowing yourself to be a newbie at any age, including in marriage. This requires a lot of conversations in a couple's life. And just because you haven't had certain conversations with your partner, doesn't mean you can't have them now. Even more, you have to start the conversation now. After the children leave home or the parents pass away, what do you each want now? This is a very important question. Even if you are confused, you should not be blamed. Don't know yet is the most legitimate mental state. People should always have the opportunity to try new things, rethink problems, and ask each other for help. Ideally, in addition to sorting out tuition bills, clearing out the basement, and deciding whether to streamline your life, the to-do list during the empty nest period will also continue to be faced with the question, can we play games now? Be brave and you have a chance. Be yourself again.
Alright, this part of the story ends here.
Want to know what happened next? Let's listen to the breakdown next time.